Hey there guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to be talking about my landscape photography gear for 2021. Yes, I know we're like over 3 months into the year already, but I have recently acquired a few new purchases that I want to talk about, just so you guys what I'll be using for my upcoming adventures here this year. So let's jump right into it. So a whole lot has actually changed in the kit that I'm using now since the last time I made a video like this talking about the camera gear I was using for landscape photography, which I made, it's going on almost a year ago. So I've acquired a lot of new gear since then, and a lot has really switched my entire workflow up. So I kind of want to make a video just to kind of update that and give you guys like a more accurate, video on what I'm actually using now. But first thing first, cameras. We'll talk about that really quick. This is my main photography camera for landscape photography. This is the Lumix G9, and I picked this up about like 7 months ago. I want to say the end of last summer, to replace my G85 as for my photography anyway. So this became my primary photography camera, the Lumix G9, which I've gotten quite a bit of use out of it, and it definitely was a pretty great upgrade to the G85 for my photography. It definitely has a lot more features and is quite a bit more capable, I would say, than the G85 for landscape photography. And I will be probably in some time in the near future making a bit more of a video about this camera, kind of sharing my thoughts and kind of a review about it in the near future. You'll see that video coming. But yeah, that's my primary photography camera. I absolutely love this thing. It's fantastic. It's got a lot of amazing features and just about everything that I would want from a landscape photography camera. It is micro four thirds, so it's not full frame, but I'm really not too concerned about full frame. I don't really shoot in like low light conditions enough to be too concerned about it. So yeah, I'm super happy with this camera so far, and it uses the same lenses that my G85 uses, so I have, the same lenses can be used for both of my cameras, which is also super helpful and was a big consideration for me when I decided I wanted to upgrade my photography camera. Next, for my video, which I'm filming on right now, is the Lumix G85, which was the camera that I had before the G9, and I actually used to use this camera here for pretty much everything. For the first couple of years I had it, I used it as my main video camera and my main photography camera until I bought the G9 about 7 or 8 months ago, and then that became my photography camera, and now this is basically just my video camera. I did kind of like a review on this camera almost a year ago, just talking all about, pretty much my thoughts on it and how I've used it and where I've used it and what I think is honestly why it's just such a fantastic budget camera for pretty much, whatever you want to use it for. I used it a lot for landscape photography and filming vlogs and videos and stuff. You really just can't beat the price point with it. I think you get them now for like $700 or something like that, and it comes with 12 to 60mm kit lens. So they're just fantastic cameras, and I'm very pleased with this one. So if you want to hear more about the G85, then you can go watch my review somewhere on my channel. It is there. Yeah, go check that one out if you want to know more about this camera. I talk all about it. So next, I guess we'll talk about some lenses. I currently have 4 lenses that I use for both my G85 and my G9, since they are compatible on both cameras, since they're both micro four thirds. The first one I'll talk about here is the one that I'm using to film this right now. That is the Lumix Leica 8-18. Definitely by far the most expensive lens I have, but honestly, I would say it's probably my favorite lens that I have because it's a super wide angle lens and it's a zoom, so it's just great for doing general landscape photography, shooting just large, amazing, epic vistas. It does a great job of that because it's so wide, and also just the extra zoom length that it has up to 18. Kind of gives you a lot more flexibility with it. So just incredibly happy with the 8-18. Kind of suits all the needs I would have for like a super wide angle general landscape photography lens. Next, I have the Lumix 12 to 60mm zoom here, which is actually the kit lens that came with the G85. And this would probably be almost as great as the 8-18, to be honest with you. It's super versatile. It's a great all-around lens, and honestly, this was like the only lens that I used for like the first year that I did landscape photography. The first year I had my G85, this was the only lens I used, was the 12 to 60. I didn't have any other lenses. I just made a video about this one recently because I broke my old one and just picked up a new used one. So you can maybe go watch that video too on my channel if you wanted to hear me talk a little bit more about the 12 to 60. But yeah, it's just a great all-around lens to kind of do it all. Very versatile, not super exciting, kind of boring, but it gets the job done, and it's actually just gets amazing results. I've taken a lot of fantastic photos with this one. The next lens we're going to discuss that I have, third one, lens number 3 that I have, will be the lens. This is actually the only second lens I ever bought. This is the 25mm Lumix prime lens, so it's the only lens I have that isn't a zoom lens. This is a prime, the only prime I have. So it's the equivalent to like a 50mm full frame, a nifty 50, so to speak, as they like to call them. I think I've had this lens for about like a year and a half or so, and it's not, you know, it's more like a secondary lens for me. It's not going to be something I have on my camera all the time, but it definitely fulfills a specific niche, I would say, because it is very, like a narrow focal length. And, you know, you can't change it because it's a prime, obviously. So you either have to get closer or further away from your subject, generally, when you're shooting with this. But I do love that it goes down to f1.7, so you can get some nice bokeh in your images with something like this. And it just kind of provides me with results that I can't get with any other lens that I have. So that's why I have it. And when I do use it, I really like the results that I get with it. Not to mention, it's really small and compact. Like, this thing is not big at all. It's a very small lens. Super lightweight, small, easily fits in the bag, and also super cheap. They're like $150 brand new. So I've gotten a lot of really nice photos with this one as well, certain places I've gone and shot. So quite happy with that. Would definitely highly recommend to get this focal length of lens no matter what camera system you're using or what brand you have. It's just a great lens to have in the bag. The final lens on my list out of the 4 that I have, I actually just picked this one up. This is my 45 to 150mm telephoto zoom lens, which also I got a really fantastic deal on this. I got it for like less than $100 used, and it was in excellent condition, so I really couldn't pass that up. And I wanted to get a telephoto for a long time, and this was like the final one I hadn't added to my collection yet. So finally picked up a telephoto, and honestly I've been having loads of fun just like going out and kind of like messing around with this, and I've been like really going out and like shooting like seriously, like taking big trips, kind of just like short little walks I'll do around. I'll bring this thing out and just take some photos with it. And it's just really cool where you can pick out details that are really far away in landscapes with this, because it does have a pretty good zoom. It's a 45 to 150 micro four thirds, so it's going to be a 90 to 300mm full frame equivalent, which I think is pretty good. It gives you a pretty good range that you can pick from when shooting different landscapes, and I just have a lot of fun using this lens. Honestly, it's just a fun lens to use. Maybe the most fun lens I have to use and that could just because I just got it and it's brand new. And it's still like, you know, the novelty hasn't worn off yet, but I think I'm going to have a lot of fun using this lens over the next several months, and I'm hoping to get some pretty solid results with it. I think I will get some cool photos with this in the future. But yeah, I did make a video talking about this lens, like I put it out like last week, so you can go find that on my channel if you want to know, hear me talk a bit more about this 45 to 150 Lumix telephoto. Yeah, you can go check out that other video. So just a few other things other than lenses and cameras and such. I do have a Rode Video microphone that I'm using on my G85 right now, which is all my audio. I use that for audio, and it has a little dead cat on top so you can use it in the wind. And actually, this mic has been absolutely amazing. I've taken it so many places. I've been using it for like well over 2 years now, and I'm just thrilled with it. Great little microphone, doesn't require batteries, and it's also pretty affordable. I think they cost like $55, $60 or something like that. Online, you can order them. So yeah, Rode Video Micro, fantastic mic, and I haven't used any other mics, but I've been so pleased with this one that I don't really need to use any other mics, because this one just gets the job done, and I just really like it. So ND filters I use, which these are all variable ND filters that I use. This is a variable ND filter that I have for this lens that I'm using right now. You can kind of see that darkens the whole frame there if I stick that on. So yeah, that, you know, it's variable, so it changes in darkness. If I set that over there, you'll probably not be able to see me. But yeah, so variable ND filter is pretty important to have, I think, for landscape photography. If you like doing long exposures, which I do like doing when I have moving water in my images, I will normally pretty much always try, you know, a bit of a longer exposure. So this is for the 8-18 that I'm using right now. I also have one for my 25mm prime, and I have one for my 12-60 as well. So pretty much have an ND filter for, like, you know, all my lenses. They really just allow me to slow down my shutter speed and get like motion in water or skies or whatever, and it's just something I'm a pretty big fan of doing with my images sometimes. And I guess next I'm just going to talk about some of how I carry all of my stuff. I do have a couple backpacks that I use when I'm out. The one I use in like day hike stuff is the Osprey Escapist 25-liter bag, which is laying on the ground right here right now. That's kind of my day bag, hiking bag that I use to carry my camera stuff in, and snacks and whatever extra clothing, whatever I need to bring. That's a great little hiking day bag that I use. And then for backpacking and overnight camping and stuff when I go to the backcountry, I use an Osprey Rook 65-liter bag. But I'll probably talk more about that bag in a different video. Probably gonna do a video in the future just talking about all of my backpacking and backcountry camping gear before summer starts. I might do a video about that. So use a couple of these f-stop, ICUs to hold my stuff. So this is a f-stop small shallow ICU, which I keep a lot of my camera gear in. It's kind of empty right now because I have a lot of it out right now. I have this camera out and the mic out, and the 8-18 lens is not in here, but that's what I use for that one. And then the other one that I actually just picked up recently to carry some of these actually lenses and stuff. And my two camera bodies is I have this f-stop, I think it's a micro tiny ICU. So right now I have the G9, the 45 to 150, and the 12 to 60 in there. And that's a great little ICU just for carrying around. Even if you just want to go on a short day hike or something, maybe I just bring this and not bring, everything with me. So I just have those two, and I can kind of divvy that up how I'd like to and move things around based on what I need for that day of shooting. And I almost forgot, I do have a tripod this camera is sitting on right now, which is a Me Photo road trip aluminum tripod, which I bought, over 2 years ago now, and I've been using it the entire time, and I'm still quite pleased with it. It gets the job done. I mean, it's just a tripod. They're not that exciting, and I don't really like using them that much for my photography, but I do actually use this tripod quite a bit for mostly shooting video like this. And the only other time I'd use it for photography is if I'm doing a really long exposure image, and obviously I need the camera still, and you got to put it on a tripod. And if I want to take photos of myself and I can't hold the camera, then I'll set up on a tripod, and then I'll use the app on my phone, like the Lumix app, to take the image from my phone. So yeah, pretty much the only time I use a tripod, but it still does get a lot of use, and I kind of have to lug it around with me every time I go out because I do use it enough that I kind of need it. So that's pretty much it for all my gear that I'll be using this, probably for mostly the rest of this year. I might end up picking up a couple other extra odds and ends, which if I do pick up something else I think is important enough to talk about, then maybe I'll mention it in a video in the future and talk about it a bit. But that is pretty much it. That about covers everything that I use for my landscape photography. The two cameras, few lenses, some ND filters, a tripod, my bags, the f-stop compartments, all that stuff. That's pretty much what I'm using, and what I will be using in all the future videos you see from now until, I don't know, whenever I stop using this stuff, which probably won't be for a while because I really like all of this stuff. I'm quite happy with the cameras and the lenses and stuff that I have, so that's probably what I will be using. Thank you guys for watching. If you do have any questions about any of this gear or want to know more, then feel free to just drop me a comment or something, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. I do appreciate everybody who watches my video. If you do like my content, want to see more videos of landscape photography and me actually using this gear a bit more, then subscribe to my channel below. I do have a lot more content coming in the future and some pretty fun adventures that I'm looking forward to. Hopefully I'll be able to take you guys along with me and take some cool photos and some cool videos and show you what I'm getting up to, and that will be in the not too distant future. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.